Hey, Achen. Oh, Hello, Mwami, can you hear me?
I can get you now. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show.
Welcome, welcome to the show, indeed.
Yes.
What happened? You were busy today?
Yeah, I was using the that first link you gave me.
Uh-huh.
Then it wasn't going through. Then I tried the one you gave me just recently. That's the one which I've gone through. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because that was Bakalinda's link, and then
Okay.
she said, yeah, because she's enjoying herself in the sun.
Oh, okay.
She
It's
went to Puerto
important
Rico.
once in a while.
She's in Puerto Rico right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's in
Very,
Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm.
very important.
In any case, we can start the program.
Yes.
Since we're just the two of us, we can start. But
Okay.
Mwami, what I wanted to find out is this:
Mm-hmm.
before we dive into important topics.
Yes.
There's this young gentleman, a Waimi.
Why?
Why do you think? What do you think about him? What is it? What's the strategy there of the PF sponsoring a young man like him?
The boy is being, I think it's more like a pawn. He's being used so that he can propagate hate speech. People now think that the HH is a bad guy because of whatever that boy will say. And that he's being unfairly treated. And the worst part is he's being labeled as a freedom fighter. Freedom fighter for what? What liberation struggle was in?
Who's a freedom fighter, first of all? Like, who qualifies to be a freedom fighter?
The one who fought against the colonial masters. That's a simple description. Because that time it was brutal. There was nothing like human rights. The colonial masters had their own way of doing things, and whoever fought against them was a freedom fighter. We were struggling. The liberation struggle for independence. Zambia is already independent. No one is a slave in Zambia. So for us to say he's a freedom fighter, for Given Luinda to say that he's a freedom fighter, it's a misnomer. That statement is misplaced, because the boy he has not fought for my freedom, and he's not fighting for anyone's freedom now. Even when he says that people are being mistreated, he has got no evidence. We were going to be real freedom fighters during PF's regime.
Yes.
When the rule of law was not respected. Now the rule of law is being upheld. So I wonder whose freedom has been taken away. So that's why me boy is heavily sponsored to just say nasty things, to make people think like the opposition in Zambia is there, but not through such games. They can't win because he's propagating hate speech. And during the fight for freedom, there wasn't hate speech the way he is doing it now. A real freedom fighter respects people. He wants only his freedom, but himself has mixed insults and his fight for the alleged freedom. You don't mix those two.
Yeah.
He's just a boy who's being used by big wigs. That's all. Otherwise, because we hear even his accommodation is paid for in a lodge. Even a car that he was driving, it was just bought for him, but I don't know what happened. It was bashed in. The boy is living large. I hear so. Because he's being funded. He's being funded by some big wigs within PF.
Just look at the people that went to bail him out. If you look at Given Luvinda, Given Luvinda, he was in the forefront. He was there. He was even the one that said he's a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
And then that rubbed me in a wrong way, because I was like, a freedom fighter.
Freedom fighter.
What qualifies this grade 7? It doesn't matter how the education, how far you've gone in education, but the young man cannot even simply construct a simple word, and then he goes on air to say, me, I'm a freedom fighter, I'm fighting for freedom. What freedom are you fighting for? Freedom
for who? Freedom for who?
And is it freedom for insults? So that you can be insulting out elders? Is that the freedom you're fighting for?
In fact, even biblically speaking, that boy will not live long. Because the Bible says, if you want to live longer here on earth, respect your father and mother.
Yes.
That boy, maybe that's why he's crying to go into, he's crying to go into prison so that he can be incarcerated there. If anything happens to him, let him just die there. Because you don't come out like that on elderly people, no. I mean, the insults is giving out of his dirty mouth. They are very unpalatable.
Very
unpalatable, because even his chief, or where he comes from, the village that appears on his rage, I think that village has that village headman or that chief has got a duty, or is mandated to recall that boy, say, come here and tell us why you're insulting like that. Or if he's got a father and mother, they need to recall him wherever he is, to sit him down, pump some sense in him. Because yes, we don't have money, but so that we could, you know, there are better ways of savana. You can sell maize in the streets, savana we could, not that one. No. Because the age at which he is, that's the age where he's supposed to have real morals, real respect, but it's not in him. Maybe to some extent he could be a mental case.
You know, that's what I'm suspecting. And
it could be a mental case, and being a mental case, when he's taken to prison or police or whatever, they want to assess his mental state, and they'll just find that he has got a karipombosoka. Karipombosoka, and once that is discovered, he'll go scot-free. But the boy is being used. Whatever is being paid, whatever is being paid, and whoever is paying him, I think they are generally very happy, like they are achieving their objective. But as a youth, he has missed it.
That's true. That's very true. And you know, I think what the point you've mentioned, maybe ka wire kali umako spark. You know, kali putukamo. You know, I think I think kwali wako ama fuses ya kwati yalipya. Because if you just look overall, Muntu, at his age, and is presenting those, you know, unpalatable, you know, language towards government, towards the head of state, and towards younger people.
Idia temi wonfya wachanda iya tshani is not palatables.
Unpalatable. You know?
Infirmities. Infirmities. Those are real infirmities.
You see? And then targeting a group of people. Because if you remember, you know, he's targeting, you know, the Tonga tribe. Because he was saying, like, look, you know, first of all, who gave him the right to talk on behalf of the Bemba speaking people? And
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Statistics in Zambia show that for someone to insult very easily and to be heard clearly, it's like you have to use Bemba. Why?
No. The thing is the Bemba is an easy language to learn. Anybody can learn how to speak Bemba. But that's why you find it. That's why you find most people, they speak Bemba even if they're not Bemba. You see? Because it's very easy to learn. Okay?
When you insult,
and then when you insult, like, look, him, the thing, the point I was going, he was saying it in an So one, he's putting himself in a group of people.
Yes.
Okay? So he's saying he's a Bemba.
And
then I could southern province kulia. When I can a commissioner kani officer in charge. Wanjibile indarama. Wanjibile indarama shamubemba. You see? So now he's putting tribe in his tribe thing.
You see?
Okay.
In fact,
and then he starts insulting. So now what we're saying is like, look, who gave you the permission to use the Bemba name? Or who are you to represent them? You are not representing the Bemba people.
No, you see, apart from him going tribal to gain some charges for passing tribal remarks, you see, when you give money to a police officer, he's supposed to have been given a receipt. So the fact that he was not given a receipt, he abetted crime. He is also an accomplice to that crime. It's not just a police officer who received that money. Now, in what capacity was he giving that policeman the money? What did you want? You don't buy freedom. You get freedom because you are innocent. The court finds you innocent. The police is not a place where you are declared a free person. You have to go to court. Why did he not to go to court so that he's found innocent? He wanted to end the whatever is the criminal journey at the police station. Why didn't he persevere to go to court so that the court can declare him innocent? So he wanted to use a shortcut. That's why he paid. And that policeman, because the two worked together, both are guilty. Anti-Corruption Commission, if anything, should come in now and say, you gave the policeman money. You have said it in your videos. Can you please give reasons what made you pay money? Because that is corruption. His own mouth, his own words can attract the attention of the Anti-Corruption Commission. Who did you give the money? And that officer also can be asked, you received money from this boy. What was it for? Kawale Terera is not just insulting the president. Kawale Terera na wewe never officer number. Because you
see, these are the issues that we need to actually look at a professional level, because I think right now tatwa kwata system Mozambique where we can for instance, your relative is in prison or jail and everything, nga waingira kulya immediately. That's why barakwata kuno sunkula about evidence center.
Okay.
Where you declare na kwata nkoloko na chikwata tu kwacha muwaleti shani chonzopo wachikwata bafire balalemba babika na evidence center. Time ya kufuma they'll give you filavino for wala andira tofo kwete no for basumilishanya with arresting officer. Oh yes bakupera.
Yes.
Okay?
Just excuse for interrupt. When are you guys talking about why me? Because I need to talk about why me.
You're a free Zambian.
I want to talk about why me, but wait. I know. I'm going in and out, so I should apologize to our viewers. I am in a little bit restricted area. So yes, now I can talk, but I'm listening in just to let everybody know. We are broadcasting live from the island of San Juan. Puerto Rico. Yes, Puerto Rico.
Mwamuna wamacha for wale kumbwisha.
No, we are
everything
just
overseeing
Atlantic Ocean with the dock. And the different, we are at the Marina Club, so there's a little bit of some interference. So we can't come as live as we want. But we're listening in, enjoying the conversation. So you guys
Okay.
are doing a wonderful job.
Yes,
Well,
we
Continue.
will.
you can comment now since you wanted to talk about it. Comment.
Yes, okay, let me bring in first of all. Let me start with the deep thinker. What do you have to say on yeah,
I did,
come on,
I did not have a comment about why me.
really?
All right. Why me? I don't even know why we are making him a hero. We are not even supposed to talk about him. Let's just ignore him. He's
The
a
zero.
non-entity in
Is the
our
zero.
political landscape. So let's not even talk about him. Let's just forget about him and just continue with our lives.
No, no, no. We would want to. Can you get me here? I would want him to get into he has broken the law. He abetted crime by giving that police officer some money. What was the money for? He was corrupting an officer.
He was trying to
Who is
get out. He
yeah,
was
no,
trying to get out, the easy way out.
yeah, but that's corruption. It's the
Of
court
course.
that is supposed
Okay,
to.
here's a deep thinker has something to say all of a sudden.
Yes.
Vachanda.
Ramaja.
Oh, Vamaja.
Eh?
Let's think about that. Who is being corrupt here? The one who receives and is an officer of the law, or a private individual? Who is being corrupt?
Both are guilty.
Okay. Because if you're a private individual and the other person is a civil servant,
Yes.
the corruption leans more on the civil servant.
Uh-huh.
Because as an individual, sometimes you're paying for services.
Did you get a receipt for the services?
I don't need a receipt as a private individual. Even when I go to the store, the store needs to document what I have bought for tax purposes. And a lot of times I would say, I don't need a receipt.
Okay.
And there you have it. Ramaj. I mean, for me, really have a concern that it's not even about him corrupting an officer. It's about him going on a live broadcast where I
Okay.
don't know how many were listening to him, inciting citizens.
Yes.
For a mutiny against the government. I have issues with that.
That is another crime.
At this point, I don't even care about the insult he directed towards the president, because I know that the president can handle that. But it's him inciting Zambians to rise up against the government, a duly elected government, And then you have, I'm going to put it out there. You have people like Given Luvinda, who himself is a criminal. I don't know. I don't care what they say. He's a criminal, and he's paying this chap to live in hotels, and all of a sudden they help him to escape the law to Zimbabwe. I mean, isn't he in Zimbabwe? Wasn't he dancing yesterday, or is it today, daring the law to catch him when he knows right well he's in Zimbabwe? Who is paying for his stay in Zimbabwe? Because that chap has never held. Why has never held a job in his entire life?
We are now the PGDs of the world.
Eh?
So those are the issues. But before we go any further, we've got Francis Kombe has just joined us today.
Oh, the man in the
he promised to say he's going to be here today
right now. Why is he here?
I'm tempted to switch to Manu.
Oh, that's good. Anyway, I'm gonna be a little bit muted because I'm right near the banks of the Atlantic Ocean. So there's a lot of massive waves coming through, and that's noise. So I don't want to disturb the show. I'm gonna mute, but I'll be listening in the background. Oh, we are. With these two gentlemen, we are listening in the background.
Wonderful.
Okay. So Bakombe, you can chime in. I think just to bring up to speed, we've just been talking about the young gentleman, Waimi, and his, what he's been, using up, unpalatable words, targeting towards the president, head of state, elders, and as well as the Tonga-speaking people. So we're like, why would a young man like him have that cahoose, to come and target the whole government? Who's sponsoring him? Okay. Yeah, I don't know what if you can bring in maybe your 2 cents on that one.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and good afternoon, good evening to everyone on the forum, depending on the show, depending on where you are. My thinking is, I think the young man is a nuisance, and just giving him coverage like this at a time when we have very important things to talk about is just sad. However, it's important to talk about it because it involves tribalism, and this is not something that we need, actually. And it's just a shame to me for the opposition, especially an entire vice president, to come and support such a guy. It only shows Zambian people that the opposition has no message whatsoever for the Zambian people. They would rather parade and say, we are supporting this guy who is a disgrace and just a disrespectful human being. It's really sad. But I hope this time the law really presses him hard so that he can be used as an example to all those who are trying to follow the same route. So he's a nuisance, and I think he needs his time in court. And I hope the court is very strong this time around. We don't need such kind of debates. We can have. It's okay if he's against the UPND and the HH administration. It's okay for him to say that. It's okay to debate. Anything is fair game. But where he crosses the line, I think is where every citizen of Zambia should say, not that.
Mkwai. That's I think you correctly aligned and said what's very important. And I think we need to really, like you said, talk about more important and things and issues. So there's one topic I think we need to move on, move ahead. We're talking about.
Can I chip in before we go
ahead?
Where I live here in Nampundwe, I live with some Rwandese from Rwandese. Those that ran away from the genocide in Rwanda. They follow social media and hear what the comments that people make. On a boy like me, they say that someone who brings in tribal tags is capable of putting the whole country on fire. It's coming from a situation where genocide happened because of being tribal. They really pity the boy because with his small tongue and small body, small age, he can put the country on fire. You don't bring in tribal things in matters that are not there. A boy like him should be in school or college studying. If he has children, are you telling me to say that boy would go back home and children would say, daddy, mommy, or the mother would say, my sonny, my daughter, or I mean my son, or my cousin. It's not just making sense. Such chaps just need to be put behind bars. They are doing enough harm. I yield.
Fantastic. I think we got another new entrant, Ali. Welcome, our big brother. It's been long. We started the program, and then you disappeared. You dipped on us. You dipped
No,
on us. I don't know whether you're traveling the world. I don't know whether you. I don't know what was happening.
no, I sincerely apologize, and obviously, as one of the founder
No, it's
members
me.
for this important.
It's me to welcome Ali. It's me to welcome Ali.
Okay.
I'm the one who's supposed to welcome Ali. Ali, welcome.
Thank
My
you.
classmate. My classmate.
Yeah,
Munyama.
Munjaba.
But
Yeah.
we have a lot. We have a lot in common with Ali.
Siwa.
From way back in 1985 to 1989.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Those are like. Oh dear.
We have a lot in common.
85.
He was always the noise maker in class. That's a good news.
Okay.
Yeah, and
that's something that I'm not surprised.
Ali was a bookworm. Ali was a bookworm.
Yeah, I was.
Yes.
Even now, I'm still a bookworm. But
Yeah.
quickly here, one of the founder members of this platform. I must apologize. I must apologize that I've been away for a long time, and a few weeks ago, I was actually in Zambia. I came back recently. I was in Zambia for a very important engagement with the superpowers there. I think we have some feedback from moderator.
Yeah, I think if you're not speaking, just mute yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, and then we can go from there. Yeah. So go ahead.
So I was saying, at the very important engagement there with the superpowers, including obviously some of the arrangements, and I have to be very frank here. Francis Kombe is my good friend, my partner in crime there. Francis, how are you?
I'm very well, Miss Ali. How are you? A long time,
my brother. I know. So I was in Zambia, and I was on all the medias. They kept picking me up, and I have to thank my friend Simon Mwewa. He took me for a brilliant lunch at his mother's restaurant in the Olympia Park there. But I hit the airwaves. I was on Diamond TV. I was on ZNBC, almost all the channels there, because I went there for an interview as the Director General for IBA. I obviously there's a little more to that conversation, and I may not go into detail, but it's all about the timing issues. I think Francis, and of course my brother, our moderator, you understand here, if you have to leave this country to go home and support the work that is happening there, there must be some strategic planning in all that. So that's what's going on in the background. I think that I'm not yet there, although the call for duty is essential. I pray that the Lord helps us to maneuver all these bridges. Now, I know I just joined in here a little late because I was traveling. I'm a guy on the move. Okay, right now as I speak with you, I'm in the Bay Area here, so I travel a lot.
The Bay, yay.
Yeah. So next week, no, the following week, I'll be out in Dallas. Then I'm flying to Philadelphia for a national conference. And then I'll be back into Dallas. Then I'll be headed to Zambia. So that's kind of my quick agenda there. So yeah.
Fantastic.
But I've got the appetite really to dive into. And of course, I saw the video that Francis posted about the constitutional amendment. And you and I were moderator. One of my strengths is the legal side of things because I've read the Zambian constitution several times. So I can almost answer questions from page to page. And I'm excited really to discuss some of these and obviously catching up, you getting me up to speed where we are in this conversation. So over to you, sir.
No, in fact, you've actually brought in the topics that we're actually just about to start right now, which is the constitutional amendment. And since you're an expert in that, there's so many questions that the Zambian people need to know or need to find out. Is like, why now? Or why is the current government asking for this constitutional amendment? And the opposition is busy saying, like, look, they're not just bringing it up, but there's some hidden agenda. Is there a hidden agenda, or is there a time in which an amendment should be done? Like, oh, we're close to elections. Why don't we wait after elections to put this? What is the confusion? What is this hullabaloo about all this constitutional amendment?
Can I have my first take before Ali comes in?
Well, Ali said he's an expert, so let's hear from him, and then you can come in.
No, before he expertises us, I want to tell him what we are teaching. What we are teaching our pupils in schools. I'm a teacher by profession. In a subject called civics or civic education, there's a topic called elections. There's a procedure in which elections are done. We are teaching pupils right now. And the first activity that happens before an election is documented in a pupil's book. It's delimitation. Before any election, the Electoral Commission of Zambia sits down to redesign the wards, the constituencies, to see how big to make representation effective. They will increase polling districts. They will create voting centers. They will do everything that will make elections easy, including delimitation.
Vasa, listen, 1 minute. We haven't reached the delimitation stage right now. What we're talking about is
amendment.
Yes, the amendment of the Constitution.
Yes,
because what we're saying is that people are saying the opposition actually is crying out loud and crying foul to say, why are they saying we need a constitution review now? Okay, but the president himself said that, look, the constitution review is talking about including our youth, the women, and physically challenged people more parliament. Okay, that's what he's touching on.
You see,
and he presented it for Women's Day. He was like, look, why don't we have more women as a representation in parliament? Maybe things can change. Maybe we can have a more diverse argument when you go into parliament. That's
opposition,
what we're talking.
The opposition and change are not agreeing. You see, even the syllabus that we teach in schools, it was revised in 2013, and every 10 years we need to revise the syllabus. It was revised, and this time around we have a new syllabus. Why are the opposition not talking about the change in the syllabus, but instead they just want to talk about politics? The opposition has no agenda. Even something that should be done on time, they want to be against it. Ali, maybe it's your show.
Yeah,
tell us.
Yeah, let me simplify it. And I think that one of my advantages is I speak very fluent Bemba. Okay, so allow me as we speak. As we speak, the audience is everybody. So we can at some point incorporate some of the local languages if you allow us, moderator. So let me simplify what Maja is talking about. Delimitation is a very simple process. What it means is just redrawing electoral boundaries to create new constituencies, wards, or polling districts. Okay?
Yes.
Now, normally, according to our constitution, and this is very important, this is done by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Okay? Why? Because it ensures a fair fair representation based on population growth. And sometimes in Zambia, we can allude that to migration patterns and other demographic changes. You know, people get married, they are moving from one place to another and things like that. Now, let me tell you the potential issues here and why the opposition are on fire. Now, I speak as a friend of the government. This is very important because that helps to understand where I stand. But I'm a fair guy. I like to speak things as they are. And it's very important to be very objective in these conversations because we are professionals. Now, there are mainly 3 or maybe 4 important things. And let me quickly go through these. Number 1, it's all about increasing constituency strong in our strongholds, constituency representation of the current government in the strongholds. So what this means is that the current UPND, according to the opposition, because I've done some research, they think this could increase the UPND dominated regions in terms of representation. Now, what does representation do? That means any agenda that comes through, if the UPND has the majority across that 110 threshold, every law can go through. Are you with me on that, moderator?
Yes. I'm with you. I'm with you. We've jumped the gun, Ali. We've jumped the gun.
On. This is very important because I have to answer to Masha here, and then we'll come back here and I'll summarize here quickly.
Okay.
Secondly, the newly created constituencies. You guys here, you agree with me that Northwestern is happening. When I was in Zambia, I went to Northwestern here, and suddenly the population has just exploded. Okay, the fear is that when we delimitate, these newly created constituencies will receive more government resources and potentially strengthening the voter loyalty of the current government. Okay, this incorporates improved voter access in these regions and also just the overall strategic political influence in those regions. Now, overall, I just want to tell you that the delimitation process is actually not a bad idea. I support it myself, but it has to be done in a way that the majority stakeholders are part of the process. Okay? Because all we are doing now is that the fear is that the tilt is all about electoral advantage towards the ruling party. And that's the noise that you see on the ground. Do I agree with what the government is doing? I don't. And I'll be honest with you, because now, to me, every constitutional amendment process is all about stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? The diaspora, the grassroots, and everybody in the country. So we need 3 things: objectivity, transparency, and inclusiveness. That's all I'm saying. And in fact, I was going to go against what Francis Kombe posted, because I think Francis missed out objectivity, transparency, and inclusiveness. Let me rest there for a minute.
Well, let him answer for himself. Let me talk for himself.
Can I come in since I've been mentioned?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll start with our moderator's concern or point that you put, then end with Ali's point. Your concern was why now? And you said, why not let the Electoral Commission get in charge of this program? You can't wait. For instance, somebody mentioned that the last time they redrew these things in 2013, right? In the US, there's what is called gerrymandering.
The electoral charge is in charge of this process. Just to let you know, yeah.
So straight to Mr. Ali's point. Mr. Ali, do you agree with me that constitutional amendment proposals are just proposals? Do you agree with me?
I do. I agree with you, sir.
Yes. So when people start saying the government,
disagree,
allow me to finish. Allow me to finish.
The process.
allow me to finish.
Because
Because I wanted to build it. You said you don't agree with the government because people have to be involved, those stakeholders.
The process, boss. The process.
Oh,
the
correct.
Process.
You disagree with the process. So allow me to say here that nothing has been started yet. The president said there is a document, and in the document, these are some of the things that are there. He didn't say we've come up with this and we're taking it straight. No. And if you listen to what the president said, it was very clear. He said we have engaged stakeholders. We've talked to civil societies. We've talked to the church. Oh, there was feedback. We've talked to the church. We've talked to the necessary people, Laz, and all these people. What I expect now is for the government to dispatch people and explain what has been happening. It's just a suggestion. They're not overlooking anyone. The president just said, amongst the things that are there, and I also agree on some of the things like proportional representative. He didn't say, I have crafted this. I alone with my party or my administration, this is what we want, and this is what we came up with by ourselves. He did it. So when you say the process is clear. They've started with proposing, right? Those proposals will be shown, just like Bill 10 was the way it was laid out. There's nothing different here. Bill 10 was a document that proposals that were put together by the PF. They read them to the nation, and then they forwarded them to Parliament, where there was debate first. After debate, then there was a vote, up or down vote in Parliament. So that is a process. The president just mentioned the first stage. We are judging him. It's not fair. They're doing it alone. There's what is called sampling in statistics. And this is the reason why I was speaking to UPND members. Not every member is going to be called to put their input. No. The people who are coming up with these proposals, they have sampled. So you can sample the youth, you sample the women, you sample the clergy, you sample all these stakeholders, and then come up with a document. Plus what you have, you come up with a proposal. If we are going to start to disqualify the administration right now for a proposal, then I'm worried, because this is not a final thing. And us who understand, I think, should know that nobody's being overlooked here. Those proposals will be presented just like Bill 10. We had a field day with Bill 10. Bill 10 was a rumor, and then it came to pass. There was a set of amendment proposals. We debated them as a nation. They were taken to Parliament. Our MPs debated based on their feedback they were receiving from the constituencies and their own understanding. After that, there was a vote. That was democracy, and Bill 10 failed. Clearly, the whole thing was followed. All the stages were followed, and it failed. We had about 10 MPs cross over, the independents and some of the PF MPs. Why should we not allow the same process to happen? People are saying, the only issue I have here, let me mention something. Let me mention something real quick. The only issue I have here is with the administration. I'm urging the president and his team, because you've already started this ball rolling, quickly roll out those amendments. If they are done, roll them out so that we start debating. Because I saw an ad today from the opposition, and they are saying HH is a hypocrite. He didn't want to roll out Bill 10, but now he wants amendment. See how clever they are doing it? They're not talking about the content. Bill 10 is not the same as the amendments that the president is proposing. You see, but they are saying he said no to Bill 10, but now because he's president, he's saying yes. So this is where we come in now as UPND to explain to the nation that the process itself is being followed, and Bill 10 was different. Here were the points, the amendments that were proposed by UPND, by the PF, and here's why they failed. Here are our points that we are proposing, and if you don't want them, vote them down. So I don't see any advantage I'll give you an example, Ali. Chawama.
Yeah.
Do you know how large Chawama is? Chawama is 50,000 plus members. Katuba constituency has 50 plus thousand members in the constituency, and we have other constituencies that have maybe 25,000 people. So you see now, you have an MP who's representing 60,000 members and an MP who's representing 25,000 members. Do you think CDF should be equally distributed? So all those, they start with delimitation first. So other constituencies will be made smaller. Other constituencies will be new constituencies. This is done all the time. Even when Vasata was adding more districts, that's delimitation.
Okay,
we do this all the time.
Let Mali come in. Let Mali come in, Bakombe.
Let me rebut to Francis. I love to debate Francis. You see, I lowered my glasses here because when I bring them in front of my eyes, that calls for deep thinking. Okay. What I'm challenging, and by the way, I'm a friend of the government. I'm one of the UPND founders, both at home. I can tell you, my original membership under Mazoka is 0067. Even in the diaspora here, I'm one of the founder members of this organization. What we are challenging as stakeholders in this process are characteristics of a process. What do I mean? And this is quick, Mr. Moderator here. This is very important for even our listeners, that we are a methodical government. I'll tell you, Mr. Kombe, there are 5 things that we expect. 5 things. Number 1, we expected the government to come to a platform and say, hey, this is time to amend the constitution. Let's define the steps by bringing in stakeholders. Those steps will clarify the purpose and also help us in terms of the overall objective. Number 2, create an order in sequence. What do I mean? It means there is a logical order to ensure a smooth progression. Number 3, this is very serious, sir. And again, you have always challenged me to be a deep thinker now. And what I'm doing now, I'm deep thinking the process. Number 3, input and output. What do I mean? This is a process that typically starts with all the stakeholders coming to the table. They look at the resources, the data, and the material as part of the input. That eventually is grinded or processed into an output where we look at the results, whether it's in terms of products or services in this process. Number 4, and I'll rest at 5, consistency. Consistency simply means we have a situation where we are visiting with the grassroots. We're having conversations, and then we are delivering what I may call predictable results. We haven't done that as a party in government. In fact, I can tell you, Sir Francis, I was on the ground. The UPND government has created its own, for lack of a better word, sir, this whole thing that people are dissatisfied. Why? We have the material, we have the potential to do the right things. We haven't done it. We lack certain initiatives or ideas that really make us to be one of the best governments that people will love. I'm telling you, there's a lot of dissentiment on the ground. Okay. Number 5, and I'll rest my case here, Mr. Moderator. This is very important for me, and I'm passionate about evaluation or control. What it means is that we've looked at the steps where I started from defining ourselves, the sequence, the input and outputs, consistency, and now I'm looking at, okay, what's the evaluation? Did I have the stakeholders in this process? Did we do the right thing? How are the Zambians going to evaluate us 2-3 years from now? The reason we are getting all this resistance is because we've heard 3 or 5 different statements. I was reading a statement here from Clayson. Clayson is my friend he's a friend of mine. He's at State House. He's saying we're going to release a draft constitution. Okay? Okay. Who did it? Or here in the US, they say, who done it? Where did that come from?
Mm.
The effective process includes checkpoints or evaluations or stages to ensure a quality document that incorporates, Francis, let me repeat this, that incorporates all these processes that we have alluded to. If we don't do that, sir, we are leaving a bad taste in the mouth of our citizens. All I'm saying is I'm a friend of the government. I would like us to really speak to the grassroots, and we haven't done that. Over to you, sir.
All right.
Here's my point.
Wakombe, before you come in, Wakombe, I think at this stage it's very early, for us to put all those things, because what it is, we have there's a draft already, and a draft doesn't mean it's a final document.
No.
Correct.
So I think you missed out at that point, Mr. Moderator. Tell us who done it? Where did the draft?
So, Mr. Let me come in, Vali. Let me come in just on that.
No. Before you come in, Wakombe.
Okay.
I think at this point it doesn't really matter who did the draft. Anybody can do a draft. Like who drafted the
No, it doesn't work like that.
Okay, who drafted the So that wasn't the concern on who drafted something. The point is this: once that draft is done, it's a rough draft, right? You bring it now to the public or to the stakeholders.
Right there, that's the problem, right there.
No. Let me come in. Let me come in just on that. I understand what you're trying to say, but my point is the president said, he clearly stated, we consulted stakeholders. And if you listen to my video, I said, if the president said they consulted all the stakeholders, the civil societies and all these groups, they are going to explain who was sampled and why. Of course, when you talk about rollout, I agree with you. It's a mess because they started the whole thing from the middle. They should have started with bringing in civil society members to come and lobby and say, we are looking at these things. Then they come up with a list and present it, not them, and then bring the stakeholders after you announce. First and foremost, people have to feel that everybody has an input. It's very important when it comes to a constitution. State House alone, or White House alone in this case, cannot just draft a thing that they want. It has to involve stakeholders. But if you look at the president's speech, he clearly said, we consulted stakeholders. So the issue here, Ali, it's a management issue and the rollout. The rollout wasn't very, and they should have let the president be the last person to talk about the amendments. He should have not talked about it. Let other people come and say all these things, and we are doing this, and the administration is looking at this. Then you can spend 2 weeks bringing people from this group, from that group, why we need these changes. Then State House in the background is just managing. So the problem here was management of the amendments themselves, the list. When you come in and present it like you are the final people making the list, that's where we have a problem, because people feel they were not consulted. But I think I trust the president and I believe in the president when he says we have consulted. So I'm waiting this week. I think they should bring people who were consulted and just representatives from those groups.
Mr. Kombe, Mr. Moderator, this is a very important topic. And I'm sorry that we're dwelling on this, but to me, it's very important because it truly demonstrates our leadership capabilities. Okay, I had to say that there are a lot of things that we could have done better.
I agree.
Now, my point to you, sir, is that let us not throw the PF away. The PF, that's the reason they were voted out, because they messed up. And all we are doing as UPND, we seem to be walking those footsteps. We should never do that. We should never do that. To me, really, I raised 3 important points here: objectivity, inclusiveness, and transparency. To me, what is missing here, Mr. Kombe? Let me tell you, sir. I think you pointed out clearly here in your discourse, sir. You've mentioned a lot of things, and you've acknowledged that there are several mistakes. The point, sir, is that the constitution of Zambia, that's the holy grail, our bread and butter to governance, so to speak. Our bread and butter to governance, kind of like in the United States, when you talk about the constitution, the president cannot just say, we have a draft to this constitution to amend it. It doesn't cut it. It doesn't go like that. The process, sir, to amend the constitution is like a single man trying to marry a virgin. What that means to you, sir, you have to pay 500 cows to sleep with a virgin. I'm sorry to use that analogy. What I'm telling you now is this. Look, you brought me into my comfort zone. I can speak the Constitution. I know it, left, right, and center. When we talk about the amendment of the Constitution, there are several lacunas in there, and we all know that it has to be changed. I went to law school in the US, and I know what I'm talking about. But the point is, we lack what is important to bring stakeholders on board. And the moment we don't have that important component of this process, we will have several positions. And I can even tell you now, I've seen opposition.
Okay, but Ali, has this been a... Oh, he's dropped out.
I think he's out. He's dropped out.
Yeah, he's dropped out. I don't think this is like a final document already.
It's not. It's not.
For us
I think
to start questioning it and all that stuff. But I think what we need to do about Kombe is what is important? What's important in this document? What are the Zambian people going to benefit? Okay, that's what we need to start looking at. What are the benefits of us having this amendment? Correct. How is it going to contribute to the Zambian people? Okay.
So you're right. You're right when you say what are the benefits. But I think quickly this week we have to correct the narrative of UPND going at it alone. Since the president has already mentioned that we have stakeholders that we consulted, this week they should bring stakeholders. The rollout was, they didn't introduce the topic well. That's something we should admit. However, it can be corrected so that it seems and it is known that other stakeholders were consulted. So bring them out, let them speak. Bring a representative from the church, a representative from the youth. Let people debate. They should delay taking these to parliament. Let the nation debate and people know that people were sampled. The president said it. People were sampled, were consulted. So I think we can play some damage control here and quickly bring in people who are going to speak and say why we need it now and what is in there. And if it's already drafted, I would urge the administration, present it now because the damage is already done. Just take it out, let people debate, but bring stakeholders or representatives of stakeholders that were interviewed to weigh in. Bring somebody from LAS. I saw a statement from LAS. Bringing the last president to come and speak to why we need these amendments. Bring a representative from the women to come and say the rollout, the introduction of the topic of the debate was wrong. They started by saying we already have. When you say that, it is true. People will just assume, okay, they did it in the darkest hours of the night. They should have brought out people first. Come and say the government is thinking of looking at some of the constitutional amendments here. that we can present to Parliament. Then let people debate, but State House manage. But now it's too late. We can't focus on that. I think it's not late enough to bring out people, though, to come and debate. They should delay taking it so that this document is seen to have so many fingerprints from Zambian citizens. I think if people perceive it as such, then it would be great, even when it is voted upon.
Okay.
But if there's no debate and it goes straight to Parliament, that's going to be a problem.
Okay. So Bakombe,
let me jump in,
before you come in, Ali, I just want to put just one simple, tag to that. I'll be surprised if Binwe Mpundu will oppose this bill. Okay? And the reason I'm mentioning this is because he's one of the MPs that was busy complaining to say his constituency is very large and CDF is not working in his constituency because it's so large that the amount of money that is being given, he cannot distribute it, fairly. So now that this is happening and this is being proposed and put on the table, people like Binwe Mpundu should be the first person to say, look, yes, I will agree with delimitation because I cannot handle my constituency because it's so large. That's the one thing I just wanted to bring in. He
can still oppose it. I think he can still oppose it. His job is to play politics. He can still say the Zambian people were not involved. Remember, nobody knows what these amendments are. We've just been talking about maybe 3 or 4 of them, right? Do we know how many of them there are? We don't. So quickly, this is the reason why the government should quickly just bring, if it's ready, bring it out, because you've already mentioned it. The longer you keep quiet, the more people come out there and just put things like what I saw today on social media. It's another Bill 10. He refused for Bill 10 to be qualified, but now he wants it because he's president. They're able to do that because we're absent. We are not talking about it and explaining it. I urged in my videos for this administration to have people who are going to talk about this in our local languages. People in the villages, they need to know what's happening and why. If you don't explain, it's easy for the opposition to just fill in things and people just say, well, they're quiet, they must be guilty. So I believe in the amendments. I love the amendments that have been mentioned. I believe the president when he says people have been sampled. I believe him 100%. And I know that was the right thing that was done. But then let's bring out those people and then we can play damage control, I think.
Vali, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know how much time we have, but I'm very conversant with the time issues. But Francis brings out a number of things here. But I can summarize in 3 things here. Number one, we the Zambians, we must love country and love one another. The old adage of Kaunda, one Zambia, one nation. Okay, that is a missing component or ingredient in our politics. Our politics has become dirty, brutal, and almost to the point of shedding blood. We've seen this in PF, and we don't want to go there. Now, I speak as a friend of the UPND government because I believe in the original values of our political party. And within the UPND political party or government, many of us, we have what we call an independent mind, because in Zambia, really, the opposition is dead. And in fact, your point here, our moderator, Binwe Mpundu is overrated. He doesn't understand anything that supports the majority Zambians. He's a very selfish individual. He tends to come out as someone who is unschooled in the school of politics. So Bino doesn't understand politics. when you're a politician, do politics for the service of the Zambians. Okay, you agree some, you disagree some, in a way that you can prove yourself that, you know what, they could have done this for the good of the Zambians. And I can give you several examples about Binu Mpondo, and that's why many of us, including my young man Skaide in Canada, we've crossed people like Binu Mpondo off the chart. He is not a politician of substance that really demonstrates capability to lead a nation. Tomorrow, if you put Binu Mpondo as a president, that's a flaw, a big flaw. Now, let me come back to the real discussion here. The real discussion here is that we, the European government, we've made mistakes. Let's accept and correct our mistakes. This is very important, brothers. We are infallible human beings. Nobody does not make mistakes. The European government makes mistakes. I'm almost tempted to say I think we make more mistakes than PF, actually. Because we try to be very careful, but we are making several mistakes. And it worries me as a Zambian, not as a politician or a believer in the European ideologies. I can tell you several things here, and in fact, if time allowed, I was going to share with you guys almost about 25 videos that I have that we've put together, reaching out to SMEs. This is as small and medium enterprises, really having conversations about government policies that support SMEs, because that's sort of my forte there. I work with SMEs, whether here or in Zambia, to strengthen the backbone of our economy. These are the discussions, Mr. Chairman, that we need to be digging in because we're passionate. The Zambian economy is very weak. We don't have fundamentals that we can preach about and really talk about. They're not there. As UPND, we have done a poor job to demonstrate that we've got fundamentals in the economy on all fronts that we know, whether it's in agriculture, mining, or SMEs and things like that. Now, let me drift back to the conversation about the constitutional amendment process. My point, sir, is that we can restart. In the computer language, we say we can reboot the process and bring the players on the floor and restart this thing. It's not too late. We've made mistakes.
That's my point.
I think that, and I can ask Francis here, do you believe that there's a draft constitutional amendment that is there, Francis? Do you believe it's there?
I believe they have ideas, but for them not coming out, maybe because they haven't finished the whole process.
This is a yes. This is a yes or no, because
the draft is already there.
Clayson has confirmed that there's a draft constitution document that is there.
Correct.
And the president came out and said the stakeholders have agreed. Then the Zambian has said, who are the stakeholders? Kind of like, okay. It is so you
no the last the last video I saw about the president talking about it, he actually said, even lifted it. I think it was in Mongu.
Correct.
He said this document is a draft document and it will be presented next week, meaning this coming week.
Moderator, let me ask you a question. That's a very good point you bring up there. My question to you, sir, were you, as a moderator, consulted for input into that draft document?
No,
yes or no?
No. But not everybody can be consulted.
No. There's what we call a symposium or a clinic. Okay. Do you agree with me that these steps were not done at night or somewhere in those high offices? People were working on this draft constitution, and the president was said, "Sir, it's okay to talk about this and present it on the stage." Do you think that is what happened?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Let me disagree with Bahali for a minute. The amendments, the sampling was done, meaning we were also represented. Not everybody is going to be asked. For me, I think it was a matter of they didn't introduce the topic to the citizens. They should have, and then go back to somebody should. Sometimes you leak information just to let the public know. You can say the government is working on a document, and civil societies and other groups have come up and they are trying to find amendments that they can put in the constitution. Leak that and let people start debating so that people know. When it comes to when you're done, when you mention it, people won't say, where was it done? You see, so it was an issue of the rollout where people consulted. Yes, they were, because the president even said stakeholders were.
Okay. So, but Ali.
No, sir. No, hold on. Let's go to the next topic. 2 seconds. No, sir.
For the sake of time. For the sake of time.
I agree with you. Can you give me 30 seconds? Because I need to clarify what Francis talked about.
Go ahead quickly. Yeah.
In our characteristics of a process, we identified there's the initial stage where we define processes, the steps, and we incorporate and bring the overall objectives to the population. Was this done, Francis?
Yes, it was. I think the mistake that people are making, and maybe that's where you might also fall into it, is people want to treat this as a referendum. It's not. A referendum is where every citizen is involved, right? We all vote on a referendum. This is a proposal, Vali, and you know that. A proposal doesn't mean it's a final document. They might bring a list to say, this is what we think we should look at. And then it's taken now for debate. The issue here, the opposition is saying, why are we not consulted? Where on earth have you seen an amendment where all the citizens are consulted? They receive emails, they receive calls, they receive letters. Where?
Okay. Yeah. So
only
I think
let me qualify my point.
No,
only a sample is used, right?
Yeah.
So you agree with me? It's a proposal. So what they will do if they are saying, for instance, you watch Jeopardy, right? The one that
I do.
Steve Harvey does, right?
Yeah.
Steve Harvey says,
oh, Master Freeze back on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moderator, I propose that we adjourn this discussion until we get more information.
Yes. So
because I haven't unpacked what I know about this whole process.
Yes. I think it's too early. It's too early. To be honest, it's very much too early to really discuss it, because I think they're going to present this week. The president said himself they're going to present it to the public. So
let's move on, sir. Let's move on, sir.
There's something special happened. Let's talk about education, really.
Let's
talk about education. So suddenly, good news to university students, and as well as to Evelyn Hone students.
Yeah, I saw that.
They are now building new hostels, even the ones that were started by the former regime, the PF. They're going to finish that and build more. Okay, and this problem, it has been a problem in terms of sanitation. We all know that UNZA, if you go there, people are living like 4 or 5 people in one simple little room. And you can imagine if in a room you're sleeping five people when it's meant for one person.
It's tough, sir. I've been there before. It's tough.
And then what about the other stuff in terms of how to take care of yourself, showering and all that stuff, and
basically so privacy issues.
It has been a concern, for so many years. I think, I don't know, for the last 20 years, both at UNZA and Evelyn Hone. But the government has proposed to say, look, we're going to do this, we're going to build this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These are the issues or developmental projects that we need to appreciate and I say, give kudos to the government, because a lot of people have gone through UNZA. A lot of people have graduated through UNZA.
Yeah.
But most people, they do not even come out to say, look, what can we do to help our former university? I don't know. He proposed I think it was last year or the other year, the president said, look, I'm going to sponsor the room that I was in. Any student that will be there, I'll be sponsoring them. And he invited other people that were, at UNZA, especially, I don't know, by Ed Kalungu. I don't know which room he was in. If we can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what your take is.
Yeah, let me tell you something that is close to my heart. In fact, our topics are always going to be close to my heart, and I'll be very quick because I tend to have so much to talk about. Let me learn to summarize. This is very important. I am one of the people that was schooled in the Zambian education system. I was very intelligent. At some point, I went to the University of Zambia. I was staying in the ruins, and then I dropped out. Some of those conditions reflected exactly what you discussed about. Then I went to the School of Accountants at Zikas. So that's how I started. That's how I started my career, and became to be an accountant. But above all in this discussion, sir, is that the idea that and I can give you a list of all the ministers that have been education ministers for a long time. The people that have managed that side of our governance has been a flop. Okay. In my view,
Go ahead, Wakombe is trying to contact me. Go ahead. I'll be back.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead.
So in my view, and this is very important, what I'm discussing, the executive branch, the president, I put myself in my shoes, in my responsibility. I've got teams under me and several teams across, dotted in the United States. My job is not to stand and make people do the work. My job is to review what these people are doing. Now, for lack of a serious approach to these issues, I always see the president standing in the shoes of all these ministers, not only in education but several other ministries. And then this leads to a situation that they call here called micromanagement, which is very unfortunate. Now, I think there's several things here, sir, to answer your question quickly here that we can do to change the status quo. Number one, we need to have ministers in these respective ministries that are proactive. Let me give you an example here. I'm an alumni of several schools here in the US for my profession. And these alumni officers in these schools, they've never abandoned us. They've always come back to us once a year to come back to the schools, have these general reunions for many years back and support these institutions. I have never, let me repeat, I have never seen the Minister of Education creating these initiatives of alumni responsibilities. Alumni responsibilities simply refer to the roles and duties that graduates of these institutions are expected to fulfill or maintain connections. Let me repeat that. To maintain connections and contribute to the growth and success. Sir, these responsibilities are in several parts. Can be mentorship and support, advocacy, promotion, financial contributions, and that, I think this is the backbone of your question. Participation in events, networking, and collaboration, and lifelong learning situations, and of course, upholding the institutional values. Now, let me circle back to the finances and other contributions in goodwill or in kind. That's why you see the failures. It's not only our mighty old Evelyn Hone College, where, by the way, Clayson Hamasaka was, if you didn't know that. We have a number of people from Evelyn Hone College. Evelyn Hone College is an old institution.
Oh, yeah.
But there are several others in the country like Evelyn Hone and all these other things. Now, if we tapped into the strength of these alumni, sir, I would never in my life be thinking the government is going to spend its money to develop these institutions. Why?
No.
Why should
No.
it be like that? Why?
No. No.
Because we have wrong.
Yep.
We have wrong, for lack of a better word, and crazy ministers in these institutions that don't understand how to manage and move these things forward. Okay? If we had smart guys like me and Francis Kombe here, let me tell you this. If I was given the Minister of Education now, I would even be building tunnels from Lusaka, Evelyn Hone College to Kabwe, Munungushi Hotel, sorry, university there.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay. You know, that's a joke. I can't build tunnels. But the point here is that one, I would be looking for donations towards infrastructure projects, which you talked about, and academic programs, because the quality of the graduates that are leaving these institutions is very poor. Okay, I manage a mentorship program where I outsource some jobs from the United States through ZCAS, and I interview students there. So a student who has graduated, and I'm talking to them in a classroom like this, they have no idea what a pivot is in Excel. It saddens me. Okay, it saddens me.
No, they don't know that.
Oh, you're playing with me, sir. You're playing. Number two, and this, I'll rest my case and allow Francis.
The first year,
Hold on. You have no idea, so I'm telling you this.
No.
Number two, this is important. Supporting fundraising campaigns. And these are deliberate, where the alumni develop these initiatives. And I can give you an example on this, sir. Many organizations in Zambia, to my knowledge, they really love the idea that we're supporting and giving back to our institutions. Okay? Because these institutions are the brains of Zambia's future. And when they hear, most recently, we organized the function at Pamo's Hotel. A group of alumni to our old school, we came together. I can tell you how the management of that hotel was very exciting to support us and even help to spread the word and support the institutions. We've never had ministers that are smart and proactive. And I'm challenging Wakombe here to say, Mr. President, I'm the right guy to lead the Department of Education. With these initiatives, we can move Zambia to another level. Mr. Moderator.
Well, I think you've mentioned something before Wakombe comes in that's a little bit alarming. Maybe it's a matter of like we're talking about infrastructure and systems in place. Like here, if you go to any university or college, you have what we call labs, computer labs, dotted around the campus. Okay, and there's always, when you're learning about something, I think one thing I know about Zambia, theory, no practice. Here they will teach you the theory, and then they also teach you the practical part. Ngafika pama point ya kusambira kufia kushita Excel, pivoting and all that stuff, you go into an actual computer lab, waikala pa wana program. Watamba no kusambira para pene feel for natural berenge if this is how you do it. You start learning it and doing it on the computer.
You know? you live in a different environment. Your thinking is very different. Okay, let me give you a very simple example here. Muzambia Mulia, Tulakwata every year, engineers are graduating. Moderate.
That's a very big concern of mine. I've had for years.
Every year, Zambia has got floods in Lusaka. Why can't we use that knowledge of our engineers to fix the drainage system in Lusaka? Because Bakalamba, let me tell you, things are not happening. In from Gayaloka, within 2-3 days, Lusaka is embarrassing. To tell you the truth, it's very embarrassing. Two women are climbing on backs of men. They are crossing a simple one place to another. They go in a bus figure. I mean, I feel so embarrassed. And people here in the US, even you told me you're from Zambia. Hey, I saw a report like this. It's flooded. Guys are carrying women on their backs. What the heck is this? Not to say that's what I'm telling you now.
So, Ali, this is one thing I was saying. Like, look, I always give this example. In the 18th century, Italy, at that point, I forget the name of the king at that point. He brought out an announcement. He just wrote a simple announcement to the people of Italy. If you are skilled in drawing, all these other stuff, we need to converge and discuss how we're going to develop Italy. Okay? So he went to the people themselves. Italy did not build itself. Even if Rome wasn't built in a day, that's how it started. Because he went to the people. Now, why shouldn't we announce to the Zambian people to say, Zambian people, the government of Zambia doesn't have to always remove money. People of Zambia should have that, zeal.
Yeah.
Okay. Or courage.
Are you talking about Napoleon Bonaparte? Napoleon Bonaparte.
They should have to say, look, University of Zambia, like you're saying, the engineers and all that every year come in.
Yes,
this should be a sort of like a practical. In a year, I don't know if it's 5 years or 3 years or 2 years, they should give 1 year to do some practical knowledge and take that knowledge that you've learned from the university. They say, okay, fine. Your next project in the next 6 months will be in Kanyama. It will be your project. Once you design on how we're going to solve this problem, it will be marked at the end of the year. Give it to students. Give it to students. Give it to students. And you're going to see how intelligent Zambians are. They are intelligent. And this solution can be solved.
Let me ask you, what is...
Well, the problem is there's no, a program like this I'm talking about where students are able to go into the field and actually learn first-hand information, like really, or participate or contribute in terms of what they've learned, the theory, and now they have to put that practical stuff side of it. So, like I'm saying, like theory, yes, practical, there's nothing happening. You're going to be an engineer with a degree, but you don't have the practical stuff. Let them start putting in at the end of the term, in 5 years or 4 years, 6 months. Give it to the students to go and learn practical.
I think you haven't answered the question, and I know Francis is about to come in because I asked you, I said, what is the problem? Yeah, I know the problem, and I'll tell you. But I think Francis is there to sort of chime in. I'll tell you what the problem is. It's a very simple problem. It's a very simple problem. Francis, I think you have something to come up here. Because, Mr. Moderator, you raise a very important point about you are churning out all these, qualified people, basically theory-based individuals out on the street, okay? And I know what the problem is. And I'll tell you, I'll explain it. So let me give space to Francis here.
Thank you so much. Yeah. First and foremost, I think we're on the right track. The president is trying so hard to reset. But I think the biggest thing here is everybody should be on the same page. Everybody should subscribe to the president's vision. And for me, the first stage that should be looked at is the permanent secretary stage. Maybe less political appointments, but more people who can do the job. If we bring in qualified permanent secretaries and directors in these ministries, couple that with the vision of the president, I think we're going to see a lot of work moving. It's very, very important. We shouldn't just, because I remember very well, I'm being very careful here. I remember very well at a time when Kaunda was president. PEMSEC it wasn't a playing thing. If they said this is the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Lands, they know stuff and they can manage stuff. Maybe we have weakened that position so much such that now we might have people who are not supposed to occupy those spaces, but they do due to just various reasons. But I think the president, like he has said, he has a vision for the country. Let's solidify it by bringing in hardworking and professional permanent secretaries, qualified directors in these ministries, most of these agendas, and we also need politicians with a modern mind, a modern mind, knowing when to solve problems before the problems come. For instance, Vali had mentioned the issue of flooding in Lusaka. Let's start when the rains are gone. Let's start doing those projects. They already know the slope of Lusaka, right? Lusaka is a plateau. We already know.
Yes,
so let's start working on that. When the rains, as soon as the rains leave, we start doing that project. The issue of planning, engineers now can come in from the city council. Why is everyone erecting a security wall? Why? Even in areas where they're not supposed to erect, they're erecting. So now water, when it comes, is being directed in different directions, the wrong directions. Now you are flooding everywhere. Let's start looking at creating ponds all over Lusaka to retain the water, to harvest the water. This is something that can be done by ZNS, can be done by Ministry of Lands. All these engineers can come up with stuff to harvest the water when it rains, then use the same water when the rain goes to irrigate. So these are things that can be done, but they can only be done if you have minds that are open, modern minds, and people subscribing to the president's vision. So let's solidify these ministries, especially from the permanent secretary level. I think that will really help the president's vision, because we are going to see now a lot of innovation, a lot of projects being done. When you put people who are there actually to further the agenda, not just to subscribe to the politics of the administration, but also to say, hey, this is what we need to improve. But otherwise, we have a good crop of people. It's just maybe going back through. They should, I think, maybe go back and just look at the SOPs. Why are you in government? Why are you in these ministries? And I think we can start from there. But otherwise, I trust the president.
That's a good point,
Okay.
Makombe. I think Mkwai, I think let me just chime in just one second on the on this issue. I think I really talk about it all the time, and I've done a lot of videos and projections on how Kanyama should look like, how Chivoria should look like. It's like a vision, and we need to first of all modernize these towns.
Right.
Lusaka City Council, the planners themselves, I think they need to go back on the drawing board before you issue land or before you issue, people will not just wake up and start building, right? They have to go to the council.
Yes, sir.
to get
Yes, sir.
a land permit and stuff like that. And then once they're given, then you start building. But if you're not being told to say, here you can do this you can't do this,
Yeah.
you can't just make any adjustments. Okay, it should be in the law to say, ngawako pera, this is your area, but 5 by 5. This is your area. Before you do any adjusting for building your way, okay, you should go and seek counsel or permission from the council. Okay, so that's how it is. That's how it is in the modern world. You have to go first of all. They will ask you, you have to go to the council first of all, and then they will approve it, and then you can do it. But here, Mozambique for Chaba, coach, it's just that it's like a World Wide West. Nobody is asking nobody, and nobody's guiding nobody. Even in the issue, Yama floods.
Let me jump in there. I know. I don't know how much time. I don't know how much time we have, Mr. Chairman, but
we got a few. We got a few minutes. We got a few minutes.
I'm an old man. No, if I talk long to contribute, I tend to forget these points. I'm an old man now, so.
Okay. Go ahead. You're back. Okay, fine.
Network challenges. I'm back.
Okay, no,
thank you.
When Ali finishes, then you can. You can come in after Ali.
It's good. Good to see Rodwell here.
Yeah, that's my name.
I think we tend to be having issues of technology here, but let me be quick here. And I'll touch on what Francis said, and you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, let me jump to what Wakombe said here. Wakombe, I'd like to summarize 3 things. Number one, you and I have to agree that there's some failure in leadership. There's some failure in leadership. We can talk about the permanent secretaries, we can talk about the ministers, but the buck starts from somewhere. Okay. My point to you, sir, is that I see a lot of failures in our governance systems, and we can change the discourse of that. Let me give you an example, sir. There's something that we call brain drain. Brain drain. Many skilled Zambians and specific for opportunities abroad. This includes salaries, resources, and also career growth that tends to be more attractive. Now, that pool of expertise can change Zambia's landscape in terms of development, really to drive local development. And I can give you a number of examples. Here, where I am in the Bay Area, a friend of mine, Richard Hajos. Richard is a retired engineer from Hillcrest. This guy, let me tell you now, I'm talking to you, Francis. Are you listening to me, sir?
Yep.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I was saying.
We can all hear you, Bali. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying there's a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, whom I visited a few weeks ago. He's in the Napa Valley. Napa Valley is famous for the best wines in the United States and outside the United States. His name is Richard Hajos. This guy is an engineer from Hillcrest. He's in the Napa Valley. This guy has made what Napa Valley is. You can actually Google him. From there. Google. Let's talk after this show. Let's talk on the side. Now, the reason I'm telling you these examples is that we live with reality here. Brain drain and the failure of our mighty government to be thinking outside the box and tap into such intellect. People that can change the discourse of our country. That leads me to a very important point here called underutilization of such skills, which is happening. Number two, lack of funding. Let me repeat that. Deliberate funding for innovation. It's not happening. Here, in this country, we live with our friends that work permanently in these large institutions of education that only do research, and they are funded by the federal government. I always say this, let's be deliberate as a government of Zambia. All the monies that we are tapping into these corrupt individuals, pump that money into research. Let's develop our own drugs to treat diseases like HIV, support the bringing of different technology on the ground and build our own manufacturing plants. It costs less, very less, okay? But there's what we call poor policy in terms of priorities. If today I were in the driving seat, free education was not going to be my priority. Is it wrong? No, it's not. We can have free education as a priority. In my view, a health nation is a nation that drives productivity. Policies on free education, I would have channeled them into the industry of health. Partner drug manufacturing plant, make Zambians healthy, and channel those individuals into production. That's how I'll be looking at our economy. Now, let me rest my case here quickly here with a lot of things. Obviously, they've changed our curriculum in education and things like that. But potential solutions here, Mr. Chairman, potential solutions, and I would like you to ask or call for another discussion here and maybe dwell on one topic. If we talk about economics, if we talk about mining, education, let's just focus on that and
Okay,
feed
we
the
can do that. We
listeners.
can do that. Yep.
Can I
Yeah.
mention quickly?
So,
Can I comment
finally,
on the free education? You disputed it. You said it wasn't for you. It wasn't P1. I beg to differ.
Me too. There, I
Yeah.
disagree with you, Ali.
Free education, Ali, was not just education. It wasn't just given abana abashariya ku school an opportunity to go to class. No, free education actually was a raise to people, meaning Shirempia Mufola, I'm going to give you a raise. That's what the president said without saying it. This is an angle that I want to talk about.
Indirect.
They are indirect. They are more. Every household was affected when it came. Now, let me finish. You understand? I want to focus on one angle that people don't see, which is the raise, more money in your pockets. Every household was affected. Majority of the households in Zambia were affected with education. We were spending money on Abanabe school, ama fees, ama chinshi, ama shan, every household. So when the president took that out and said, we are going to make it free, it means he gave a raise to the nation. The other part is the 100,000, no, let me finish. Let me build it up. The 80 to 100,000 pupils that were not going to school were now automatically included in a program. They are being educated. You want a population that is educated. So free education changed a lot of things. It also created employment. Okay. Now we needed more teachers, right? So more students. Now we needed more uniforms. So the tailors who were making these uniforms, they made money. So it created employment. It gave a raise to the nation. It also educated the masses. So free education was a big thing. For me, I still think it's one of the greatest things that the president has done, because it affected so many sectors of our economy.
But Ali, I think about Ali. I think on this one.
But moderator, I can't go without responding to Wakombe.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, go ahead. Okay, so, and I agree with Francis. But Francis, I think the question I posed to you, sir, was that in my view, given the opportunity to really look at priorities, I would want to invest in healthcare. Okay, because I believe that a productive healthcare, a health population is a productive healthcare. I would not be thinking, and this is very important to me because I'm trying to phrase a question here for you. To see the dividends from free education is very complicated. But to see the dividends of solid health care, no, sir. Let me finish my point. To see the dividends,
and then I'm going to come in.
Of the healthcare population tends to drive the country's GDP. And to me, I'm very passionate about healthcare because it's the idea that we can have independent solutions to the diseases that are inflicting our population.
But Baali, did we have a crisis with
hold on, sir, and I'm coming to your point there.
Was there a crisis?
Important. And I'm driving to it. Oh, you have no idea that it's a crisis. Healthcare is a crisis.
No. It is, but was there a crisis in Zambia? We're talking about Zambia now. Zambia, did we have a crisis?
Yes, we did.
Shed more light on that.
You know why I didn't see the crisis? Because we had partnerships with agencies like USAID, that medication was coming for free in Zambia to support our populations.
So we didn't have a crisis. That's what you're saying. We didn't have a crisis.
Okay. No.
Bring in our colleague here who has joined us.
Let me tell you, this is important, and I'll rest my case.
Okay.
The crisis was there, but it was alleviated because we got free things.
So in other words, we had no crisis. That's what you're trying to say.
We got answers for you. Ali. Hold your horse, Wakombe. Macha. Imwami. Can you chime in on this one before I come in? Macha, are you there? Yeah, I think it's still having some network challenges. But look, I think we need to understand one thing. Free education. So free education, how are we going to have an educated mind? How are we going to have all those engineers, scientists, health workers that we need if there's no free education? So we are looking at, free education is something that it looks simple, but very, very, very complex. And how it's going to be applied, or how people are going to benefit from it. Because wait a minute, Baali. One individual can be so talented, very talented, but because they don't have the time, or their parents don't have the money to take them to school, talent genius, you see. But if you take them to school, give them that free education, what is going to imply? We're raising scientists. If you don't look, ine nalenda na makasa shani when I was going to primary school, and then the time when it was time for me to go to university, it was for free, and the teachers were encouraging me. No problem. Family ya chula, but walikuwa tamano. Why yako school? You get an education. Like, look at him, he's a president now. Same thing with other students that we are now giving free education. How many of that crop are going to become judges, ministers, and all that? It's not going to show now. It doesn't make sense now. But in the next coming, decade, out of that crop, you'll find a president, will find all this because of that free education. If we had not done or what the government did to provide that free education, I'm telling you the truth, we could have had more street kids in Zambia is a problem. Ama junkies is a problem. Okay? And most people, if you ask them, really, if you go ask those kids, they will tell you, because my zone pereka school. That's why in my streets.
Correct.
Okay? That's where all these junkies are coming from. To avoid all those things, provide free education. It's a simple but very complex solution.
Correct.
Bakalamba, let me jump in for 2 seconds, if you allow me. Both of these two ideologies are very important: a health population and free education. In my mind, in my small intelligence, I think that health takes priority in the short term, and I can explain that. Because in my mind, I think that a health population can learn, work, and contribute to society or to our GDP. Because without good health, even free education may fail to produce the results. That's what I'm telling you now.
But how are we going to have, those doctors without free education?
Let me finish.
How are we going to have those scientists without free education?
Because, sir, you can't take a person who is very sick to go and get educated. That's what I'm telling you.
No.
Okay?
I think you're looking at it very wrong.
No.
You said, let's stick to the
point.
Let's stick to, you have a point. We didn't say healthcare is not important. No. We are arguing or debating your point where you said free education was not necessary. It wasn't important.
Yeah.
So we are trying to show you
why. It was
not
a priority.
It was
not a priority.
Which is
it wasn't a priority. Yes, it wasn't a priority. Yes,
exactly. What we are saying, for me, what I'm saying is it was a priority, because do you know how many kids have come out, Val? Over 100,000 kids who are staying home in PF. School. That is healthy.
Okay,
how many
ask you a question on that?
Let me ask you a question, Bali. Ever since we've been in power 4 years, Tefio.
Yeah.
How many health outbreaks have we had in Zambia in the 4 years?
Do you know why?
No. How many? It's a question. I want you, don't say why we haven't had. I'm asking you because the president did it actually at the same time. But I'm asking you, how many outbreaks or risks have we had in terms of healthcare that you're talking about?
We haven't big ones. We haven't had big ones.
Thank you. So in the 4 years, Tefio. But can you imagine aba sharia ku school? Imuli 4 years umubali ambe school bambi now African grade 4 number. Don't you think that's an investment? And now just talking about that,
even in the health sector that you are worried about, Ali, even in the health sector, there's no way somebody can just become a doctor or a scientist.
They have to be educated.
Okay?
No, they have to be educated.
You missed the point.
This is the background, and this is it's a backbone of what you're talking about, Ali.
All I was talking about was a mix and balance in terms of the free education and our healthcare priorities. Because, and I can tell you this, the only reason why you and I think that all is well in terms of healthcare is because we have
no. We're not saying all is well.
That's not the argument.
That's not the argument. That's not the argument.
I think about Ali, you're missing the point.
You're missing the point.
No, I don't think so.
Listen.
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah.
And for us to reach at the level where we have scientists, we have doctors, and all this, they need to go through a certain system. You do go through education. Okay? Now, if that, I was giving you a simple example of somebody who's smart, is a genius, but because of not going to school, but if there's free education, if there's free education, that person can become a scientist. That person can be the person that is going to create all these ARVs that we're talking about. As a matter of fact, did you know that malaria was first discovered in Zambia? Okay,
I know that.
Now, this is what happened, and these are the things that we need to start looking at.
Hello, Ali. You know, just like tariffs are a tax on the consumer, education was a raise to every household. Was a raise. Most of the times when governments they come into power, there's a wage freeze, right?
Yes.
Most of the time they do a wage. Even here in the US, Trump has done that. But the president gave a raise to every household. How many of your relatives were you supporting through education? You see? But now we can't do that, but more kids are learning. That's an investment. You want a populace that's educated, at least, because that also spills into how you choose leaders. If you have people who are illiterate, it means any politician who stands on an anti-hill will lie and people believe. Like, for instance, the opposition right now, they are saying, Butene, they're saying Butene. You see now,
let me just find my point. Let me just find my point.
Okay, go ahead, Ali. What's your point?
Yeah, my point is this, and it's a very clear point, because I asked you two gentlemen, with all the free education, every year we're churning out educated people. Every year Lusaka is flooded. My question to you, sir, is why has free education failed to resolve the solutions?
Let me answer you. In the 4 years that the president has brought free education, the first children who were first grade, they're now fourth grade.
Investing Give me examples. I asked for dividends.
I think I answered this question you have raised. I answered it already. You're talking about floods in Kanyama, okay?
No, it's just one example, sir. I can give you.
But I answered it. I told you. Here's what I told you.
Free education. The floods.
Here's what I told you.
We have floods in the United States.
It has to do that.
But Moneni, okay, hold on a minute.
Through the chair.
Hold on,
you lived in Dallas before, right? In Texas.
I live in Dallas, yes, sir.
Yes. There are floods every year there. We have free education in the United States. Why do you have floods?
Okay, they ameliorate situations like that. I'm talking about things that are happening.
You mentioned floods in Lusaka and free education.
Just an example. It's just an example, sir.
Okay,
the issue of power, the issue of there are a lot of examples I can give you. But
free education.
No, I think Moneni. Okay, before we lose each other's thoughts. When it comes to flooding, I said, free education. Somebody graduates at University of Zambia.
I got a civil engineer.
And then I was saying, look, in the curriculum of Zambia, since it's going to change.
They have changed.
If it takes you 5 years to gain a degree in engineering, okay? Why don't we put the 1 year in practical. You take students, last year, okay, we got an assignment for you guys.
Attachment.
It's an assignment, and it's part of your education system. They tell them that we got this problem here. The person that's going to come up with the brilliant idea, okay, will be one of the top-notch, going to get a PhD or somewhere, get further things. It should be like a challenge. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about your natural later ya kuitali. That was the most successful year of Italy. They built a lot of buildings that are standing to now. They built a lot of structures. Like if you go to Italy, they've got the most strongest buildings and beautiful buildings that were built 100 years ago. They're still standing today.
Another point also, because I agree with you, Bachanda, sorry, not to make it through the chair. Another point is, what I'm trying to say is, the points that you've brought up, like why do we still have flooding here? Why do we still have failure there? Free education just came in 4 years ago. Part of it is just planning and labor. When you talk about labor now on a different scale, I can argue and say, hey, why don't we use Abantoba Wakaka Iba Babamkaka 4 years? Use them to dig gamma trenches. The engineers are there. They give them some specification. Not to, for instance, DUI, right? Give them uniforms. Let them dig. If let them dig. Things like that. We can use manpower to improve sanitation. Mulusak. It's easy. We have more accidents every year, right? More accidents because people are drinking. Instead
of you going to prison for 4 years,
100 hours of community service.
Community service work.
Lusaka will be clean. So all that is management and people having a vision. In some of these departments and ministries where most of it is labor, because they talk about funding. Funding is the cost, right? So how do you scrap that? There are a lot of offenders that we have. DUI. Give them uniforms that are so bright, orange uniforms. It doesn't matter whether he's a director or a marketeer. Now for an orange shrub, he's digging. The engineer is there and the supervisor, they are supervising. He's digging a trench. People will stop. But we can get cheap labor from all that. So it's a matter of being creative. Some of these leaders can be creative and actually, do some of these things. So it has nothing to do with free education, but just leadership and being creative. People need to be creative in some of these ministries. Even the Ministry of Community Development. Why not build other parks? We had parks when I was growing up. We had parks. Build those parks. You don't need too much funding. Offenders that you're putting in jail. Aiba hospipe you muntu bamkaka 3 years. Muntu aiba 25 million at Bweshafe and Abweshafe apwa. Come on now. Put those people to work. When you shame them like that, they won't be repeat offenders. Because everybody will say, we saw Ali they were slashing in Great East Road. You have 50 hours of community service. You trust me, you will never do it again. You see, so it's just being creative without stepping on anybody's right. You can be creative and use them here on the highways where I live. We always find people from the jail slashing the highway. You see, that's being creative, but we are not. We'd rather put somebody either hosepipe or either cabbage at 3 years in prison.
But just remember, hopefully he's listening.
Come on.
We need to change some of these things. We need to
some of these things are extreme. There are a lot of people who are in prisons today that are not supposed to be there, and it's ridiculous.
Often and Francis, what I'm saying, Bachanda, is that as a government, we need to come back to the drawing table and look at our priorities. Okay, this is very important. It tends to lead into some of the unfavorable sentiments on the ground, because we are known as a government that is methodical. But then people are trying to understand what methodical means when we're doing things haphazard. Okay? We are letting a government, not a Rubik's cube, because a Rubik's cube you can manipulate and try this and this until you get a solution. A government is not a Rubik's cube. A government must be governed by strategy, priorities, and correct resource mobilization. And you have given us several examples here, and I don't want to dwell in that. I think the big discussion here is really to be looking at why are we not looking at priorities? Okay, that's the biggest thing for me.
I think they are,
And
but
to
they're
me,
just wrong priorities. They are
because
priorities.
to me, and I challenge you guys here, and I won this discussion because I told you that free education was not a priority.
It was.
No,
So
it wasn't.
okay, if free education wasn't the what would have been the
What was the
priority
number one
for
priority?
you? For you, tell us.
No, just mention the first one, and we can debate that.
Agriculture and healthcare.
Oh, you changed.
No.
So it's no longer healthcare. Now it's agriculture.
Well, because we didn't talk about agriculture, but I had several priorities in my mind. But
so the first two for you were agriculture, health, and then maybe no education. Just these two.
No.
Did we have a crisis in agriculture?
No. The point is, yes, we did. We did.
What was the crisis?
Let me tell you. Zambia was going through a very difficult time in terms of agricultural policies. It's very known. It's clear. It's clear. The Minister of Agriculture is and was very ineffective. We've never defined the policies we have in agriculture for people to understand. This incorporates things like FISIP. I know FISIP very well. I'm a farmer. My father left a huge farm in Mundas that I manage. Okay, at some point it was a flop. We had to use some initiatives outside all these mechanisms from the Ministry of Agriculture. But
so we were at a level of a crisis.
Oh, you have no idea, sir.
No, I have an idea. I'm also a farmer.
No.
Yes,
What's the crisis?
What was the crisis? The policies were bad, yes. But
the crisis, is that
did we have a shortage of food?
Yeah, there was a shortage of meal. The cost was very high.
When?
And
when? When did we have a shortage of food?
You have no idea, sir.
No, when we came in, I'm talking 2021.
Hold on, Vakombe. Let Vaali speak. Let him finish his point before we come in.
Okay. But let's just be fair. We're talking about 2021. Yeah, I know, but let's not begin from the droughts. No, we are starting from 2021. HH comes in.
No. Let him say how he wants to say it. Go ahead, Vaali.
You have to guide the debate.
No, Vakombe, there's two things. The sentiments and the feedback from the population. Maybe you and I define crisis in a different way. Sometimes crisis sounds like a big word that we can't define. The moment the price of that commodity called meal is out of the reach of Zambians, that's a crisis. And the government must be thinking, how do we support to manage this crisis? Okay? The price of meal was unaffordable for Zambians. And I'm telling you this, that's a crisis. And all the negative sentiments on the ground was on and around the price of meal. We cannot run away from this, Mr. Kombe.
Can I come in just on that? So what did the president do? you are saying there was a crisis, right? There are so many policies that the president brought down in terms of agriculture. You know that. He pushed for a fertilizer plant, which is now in function, right? Because there was an outcry. Fertilizer was expensive. He's pushed that. Right now, they're manufacturing fertilizers. He pushed for government farms to do the farming, to supplement the maize production in the country, right? He did that. They started now farming yearly. He pushed on loans to small-scale farmers to have access to loans. He did that. He also pushed for what was that? Importation of farm equipment. There was no tax. That is solving a crisis. This was in the first 2 years of the president being in office. He did all these things. He increased the price of a bag of maize when it is sold by the farmer to the government. Did you know that, Baali? The president increased. That is solving a crisis, right? So he did this in the first 2 years of his office, him being in office. So he has tried. The only thing that has set us back is the drought. Otherwise, agriculture, there was need to look at it, and the president looked at it. He increased the access to loans, he increased the bag of maize, he pushed in equipment being brought, tractors and everything, no tax. That is doing something about something. So how can you say that there was a crisis? The man did it.
Ali.
No,
okay.
Hold on, moderator. I know we're out of time and we have to be going soon. We can have another conversation because I'd like us to talk about the fuel crisis that ties into all the agricultural crisis that Zambia has had. And that will touch on the mining sector. So I think let's structure our discussions in a way that we can focus on one topic and really break it down, because this high-level talking tends to defeat some of the submissions that we have.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. We can next week or during the week we can line up certain topics and subjects that we need to tackle. But I think at this point, I think we need to close down and come back next week. We'll start. Is Mamasha still there? Mamasha, are you still there?
I've struggled. I'm back. The internet.
Oh, yeah, let him weigh in on a lot of things.
Okay, you can come in and we need to summarize and close the show.
Yes. We have one country called Zambia. It's our only home. I urge all citizens, especially young ones, the youth, they should guard and keep it jealously. The adults are in their evenings. They're about to go. Their time is almost up. But us who will live, the youth that will live longer, need to take care of the nation. Abuse of social media. No. They are being used to discredit a government that is performing well. And them, as you are even seeing things happening. They are seeing things happening. Yeah, they are seeing things happening. I don't know why they are so blind. May the youth wake up and stop being abused by these big ones. I'm done.
Yeah, you wanted to say something? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, as we proceed, I think, like I said, I think we need to wind up.
Mr. Chanda, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you, bro.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't get anything from Chanda and Rodwell, so.
Oh, really? They're speaking. I can hear them right now.
I can also hear.
It's on your end. It's on your end.
Maybe unmute yourself, sir.
Yeah, try that.
I can't hear Francis. I can't
Try and
Oh,
mute and then unmute.
you're muted.
If you're not muted, just try and mute it and unmute and see what happens.
Yeah. So in any case, I think, like I said, we need to wind up. Next week we can present certain topics that we need to tackle, like fully, and we have our own contacts and everything else. And I think just on a closing remark, I would say, like, look, us as the UPND, party, UPND supporters, or UPND sympathizers, depending on where you categorize yourself, we now know that, look, we've had a good one term, but we need to go to the next term. And what are we going to do in the next term? So currently, I think if you had to scale or measure, I can tell you, I think we are above 8%. If you had to put it between 8 and 10 out of 10, we're at 8. Because the things that are happening at it may look like at a slow pace. If Ali is concerned about education, agriculture, there's so many big plans about agriculture. For instance, the president himself, he said, look, the northern sector now, we want to introduce cattle there. Because if we all know, northern sector, that's sunga sana ng'ombe.
Correct. But that's where the rain is.
Especially Kurapula. Tatsunga ng'ombe. Twaishoba kulima fetuti.
Tamusongo munani, not ng'ombe.
Imbo. Maiza fembo.
So now the president is saying, look at this green pasture. You can imagine how many cows, and he be saying, like, look, in the next coming 5 years, Zambia will be the #1 exporter of beef in Africa. Okay, so he knows what's going on here. So that's also near agriculture. Because agriculture tekulima fya matawawe. Agriculture is in different sectors. There's fish farming, there's this, there's so many things. So in the next 10 years, you can imagine how the northern sector, Luapula province, will look like. I rest my case. Everybody, if you can just put on your closing remarks, and then we close the show.
All right, thank you. I give my spot to Vanan, who has joined in. I think he didn't speak much. So speak on for me and you.
Okay. In fact, there's something I forgot to mention. There was a time when HH was in a plane with journalists and other UPND cadres. Then he was asked a question. He asked the people on the plane a question. What can you see down there? They were telling him they are seeing grass. I said, no.
I remember that one.
Check properly. No, we are seeing grass. And HS was able to see yourself. He told them that I'm seeing animals here. Seeing ng'ombe. No, there are no animals there. So. No, there are a lot of animals there. No, he was thinking ahead of them and looked like and said like, this grass is going to waste because there are no animals. If we were to keep animals, this nation would, we can't you see, Botswana being an exporter of beef. Botswana, a country in a desert, being an exporter of beef. We having plenty, suffering amidst plenty. We are poised for growth. There's someone in charge of this leadership who is able to, who can take us there. He will take us to the promised land. I yield.
Okay, so you've spoken for both Makombe and everybody else. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to... Makombe is now relaxing. Makombe is now relaxing now. It's a relaxing mode. So yeah, we'll continue next week.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, and we thank you for your participation. And if you have anything, you can just put on the comments there, and then we'll if you got questions as well, you just put on the comments. Follow our page.
A point of correction. There were no ladies today.
Oh yeah, well,
okay. I hear you.
So those people where you're addressing, people are watching. Like our page, follow our page, encourage us for Abantu to come together and conglomerate and sit down and have a healthy discussion. Okay? With the Abantu oh, we don't change. No, it doesn't matter. You're from the north, you're from the south, you're from the east, west. At the end of the day,
one Zambia, one nation, one people.
One people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, goodbye and thank you. We'll continue next week.
Okay. Send me the program.
The thing, yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.